Now what you see here is essentially the um, the demonstration of the self-help system. Now the first step in enabling the system for a user is the ability of the user to pass through the system in terms of authenticating himself. What you see here is the speaker authentication process, where we have entered the user ID or a name of a person, and he will be requested to speak his name and passphrase. Basically these are some things that have already been recorded, or voice prints out of this person's voice have been recorded and kept aside for verification. Once the user passes through this, he will have access to sort of use this application. This application essentially has three components in its windows. The result window displays the questions that the user has been asking and the response, if any, that are obtained by the system. The event window has purposely been displayed here so that one can look at the speech recognition process that happens in the intermediate steps. Basically, one is required to enter the name. Once the speaker is authenticated, the username could come out as the ID that goes into the system. Essentially, the speech recognition system in the acoustic sense is a very poor performer, as all of us know. It's about 40% recognition. What determines its performance is the grammar. In this system, we have three different kinds of grammars. The constraint grammar allows the user to speak grammatically correct sentences and certain most frequently used ways of querying for information. So it is highly constrained in the way the user can ask for information. The liberal is the other extreme, which allows the user to ask questions liberally, in the sense that it is quite immune to the person making grammatically correct incorrect requests. And of course the other things which are self-explanatory are the clear window, which clears the screen for the, and exit is of course to exit out of this. The other option is to actually enable the response that the system generates through either SMS. So once you click on this send SMS, it would show you probably the SMS and the mobile number of the user, and the thing could go in. And thirdly, you have the speech ability to convert the answer into text using the speech recognition engine. Now what we'll do here is first go through the phase of speaker authentication.
Nirmal, password.
So what essentially has happened is the speech verification system has looked at the name and the passphrase of the user and has verified him on a threshold basis. Now once the person is verified, he gets access to use the system. So Nirmal Janardhan, who actually got verified, his name comes into the picture. Now the thing is, we'll first experiment with the constraint grammar. First what we need to do is load the grammar so that the system becomes active. And yeah, whole idea of this demonstration is that we will be showing that the same query can be used in several different ways, and we'll also show you what actually fails.
What is the surrender value of policy TRS 184766772?
So as you see, the system has been able to recognize exactly what has been spoken. This is the constraint grammar, grammatically correct sentence, and the response to this query is in terms of some number. about this policy. Basically, it is responded by saying that the surrender value of the policy is so much. Now, if you look at it, this is not the only way in which the same question can be spoken. Now, we'll demonstrate a different way of asking the same query.
Can you please tell me what is the surrender value of policy TRS 184766772?
Now, that was another way of asking the query. Essentially, what it means is the speech recognition engine, if tuned to a certain language model, is able to recognize different ways of asking the same information. Now, what we do is try and fail the system, because the system is expecting the user to speak in a certain way. So this can be demonstrated by following.
Policy TRS 184766772. Surrender value, please.
Essentially, if you look at it, the system didn't respond to this particular query because the grammar is highly constrained, and what it actually recorded is probably a false way of speaking into the system. So basically, the system fails to recognize. Now, there is this fine line between how much can you allow this user to deviate from the normal queries, the way they are posed, and the liberal thing. So we have been experimenting on this, and now what we do is we load a liberal grammar. For that, you need to first unload the grammar and load the liberal grammar. Now, what one is saying here is that the user gets an option to speak is very in a liberal manner. Like he could fragment the sentences. He could do in a different thing. Let's look at one of this.
Status of address change requested for customer 1987656.
What one is saying is here the system is able to sort of just catch on to the words that the person is speaking out and process it. Let's look at another query.
Policy TRS 184766772. Surrender value.
The query as posed earlier in the constrained grammar case failed because it was not as per the language model that the system was waiting for. So this is where the liberal grammar based thing. Now the liberal grammar also has a chance that you could speak things which would confuse the system. So one has to build a system which is in between the most constrained and the liberal thing, and that's where the experimental thing comes into picture. Now what we demonstrate here as a next step is to be able to send an SMS. Now once you have this, you could actually enable that the response go over the SMS channel. For example, you just choose an SMS.
Benefits of product Pension Plus.
You get a thing asking whether you want it to be sent. Now, essentially, what would happen is you would get a SMS on your system, something like this. So in this process, what we have demonstrated is a tiny system which enables the intermediaries to actually check for information and help as a self-help system. Basically, this has been prototyped and developed within the lab, and there is a huge advantage of such a system because it can be run 24/7 without the actual use of agents. Uh, there are several other additions that are going on. Please keep tuned.